we have Sameer Mehta, who's a co-founder of boAt Lifestyle. It's a brand, it's a product which has taken a lot of us by storm, and I think all of us are loving it. So this conversation, Sameer, is all about you, all about the company, the business, the brand, and boAt. So we'll just roll, and maybe Sameer, if you want to just maybe give a brief background about yourself, and then maybe lead into what brought you into boAt Lifestyle.
So thanks, Rajeev. Thanks for having me over. Good to meet you and good to see that, I have a boat head in you. So, which is a really great feeling for us. Um, so just to, start out with, right? So me and Aman, we actually met back in 2014. It was more of an arranged marriage situation for me and him. So both of us were trying to get into the audio space back then. And it so happened that we reached out to a company in the States where we wanted to distribute their products in India. So I had reached out separately to them, and so did Aman. And their India manager actually thought it would be a very good fit for me and Aman to start a company together. So he actually invited us both over to the Taj Lands End and said that, hey, you guys are a perfect yin and yang, because he's very, very good at marketing and sales. I'm very, very good at, operations and finance and, product development. So that's how we met. And I think we both of us kind of took a leap of faith. 3 days later, we formed a company. We started distributing for this company out of the States called House of Marley, which was owned by the Bob Marley family. Initial 2 years, because we didn't have enough money to put in, right, to build our own brand, because it takes a lot of investment to do that. So we started, selling and distributing other products, understanding what are the white spaces, how do we get into the industry, what are the kind of price points that work, what are the unique Indian features that, an Indian consumer wants, because people were building products, but they were not building products that were specific to India, right? And that's where we found that, white space, that, hey, why don't we give the customer what he wants, what is truly Indian, how do we kind of adapt to that taste? And that's when in 2016, after 2 years of research, me and Aman launched boAt. Our first product was our boAt 225 in-ear, earphones, which we're currently selling as well. And it's one of our blockbuster sellers. So it's been a fantastic journey. We've been growing at multiple X's year on year. We did about 900 crores of sales revenue last year, and we expect to cross the barrier of 1,000 crore this year. So overall, the journey has been pretty fantastic. It's like we call the manager from House of Marley Pandit ji. That Pandit ji ne milaya aur hamari shaadi kara di, and now we're actually seeing the rewards of coming together.
So how did the name boAt come about?
So when we started out, right? So we wanted to bring a product to the market which actually put you into a state of nirvana, right? So we thought that why not? So when you go sailing, when you go on a boat, right, you're away, disconnected from the world. You're in your own zone, right? You're in a state of nirvana. So when you read boAt, there's a tagline that goes along with it, which says that boAt plug into nirvana. So, the plug into nirvana is supposed to be read with boAt, and that's why, you plug into your zone. So when you put on my headphone or my earphones, you actually feel peaceful. You're in your own zone, and that's why, boAt plug into nirvana.
And tell me, I mean, I'm not obviously a big, user, except starting now.
Sure.
But plug into your nirvana, boAt, these almost sound like you're trying to make the product and the usage as personal as it can be for the user. How did that thinking come about? I mean, what prompted you? Because generally speaking, unless you're focused on the very high end of the mobile phone or the equipment market, most people will generally use average stuff bought from some unorganized place. But how did you get this thinking of personalizing it?
So I'll tell you, the consumer taste is shifting, right? The consumer is evolving. So no more gone are the days where you could, fool a customer by, offering a substandard product, right? And for us, we are an online agnostic company, and the user generated content actually makes a lot of difference to how people think and buy our brand, right? So for it was very, very important to kind of bring unique Indianness to our, product range. So, we went ahead. So our first product, just to give you an example, right? We wanted to bring out a product which would be durable, which would be classy for the customers, right? So whenever you use a normal earphone, it would get tangled. You put it in your bag, it gets tangled. So we came out with a simple solution with a tangle-free cable, right? You put it into your bag, you remove it, there's no tangle, right?
Mm.
So people used to use, these earphones with their mobile phones. So we give a longer cable so you can put your, phone in your pocket and still plug it in, and you don't need to carry your phone in hand. So the cable was longer. People were offering plastic earphones. We came up with a metal earphone, right? So longevity was good. So these are the small nuances that we knew, what the Indian consumer would want, and that's how we kind of,
Mm.
brought in that truly Indian perspective to our products.
Spent the last 5 years
Sure.
building the company out. What have been some of the learnings around customer behavior, customer adoption, which have given you some interesting insights? Your path forward has changed. What have those been?
So just how we are looking at the customer, right? I mean, if you look at the customer journey that we've come up with, so our technology, there's been a shift, right? People have moved from wired to wireless to truly wireless is something that you've currently bought, and that is the way we see the customer kind of shifting over a period of time. What we've realized is, with India, you have to offer the right set of products. Okay, you have to offer a lot of lifestyle element as well. So gone are the days where, I'm sure that, if you have kids at home, they would not want to buy a legacy brand, right? Because if Papa is using a legacy brand, I don't want to be seen using that brand. So that's something that, we realize that, let's give the customer something that is fashionable, that is very, very unique to his personal lifestyle, which can complement him, right? I mean, so if you look at our products, they are not very garishly loud, but they have a very, very good element of lifestyle with it, right? So when you wear a boat, you feel really good, right? And that's a wave that we kind of caught on to. And if you look at our marketing, that is also perfectly tuned to cater to that customer, right? So my TG is between 18 to 24, and when I'm kind of targeting them, I'm actually targeting them of how unique they are, rather than selling them on technology, because technology is hygiene. You need to have a good working solid product for you to sell it. That is like very basic, right?
Mhm.
But how do I bring a customer to like my product? I give him something unique which is suited to his lifestyle, and that's how, that's some kind of an insight that we had, and that's why we built our products to suit a consumer which was essentially between the ages of 18 and 24.
I notice you have a lot of celebrity endorsers, and you use many of them.
Right.
And why and how have you benefited from that? And how does that lead to brand identification with the customer, the level of personalization you're seeking?
So sir, just to break that question down, right? One is, we are very, very frugal in the way we work, right?
Mhm.
So when we get these celebrities, mostly it's about ROI driven marketing, right? If you talk about the reach of each of these celebrities, they have about 10 million, 5 million followers, right? So how do I get the best reach for my buck? So, that is where the celebrity marketing comes in. The second part of that is, what sells in India? Bollywood, cricket, right? So we went to two of these mediums. We said that, and sound, of course, because we are a sound company. So we are Neha Kakkar, who does sound, so people actually who love music would, follow her. And that's how, we get that kind of addressable market with us. People love sports. People love cricket in India, right? India is a cricket crazy country. So how do we kind of communicate through our, cricketers to reach out to a mass segment where they aspire to become like that, like,
Sure.
like them? Then comes in the Bollywood side of things, right? So the Bollywood side of things is, again, people are crazy about movies, right? So how do we kind of associate with our target segment using certain celebrities like Kartik Aaryan, who are very, they are the underdogs who are coming up, and that is a strategy that we've used, kind of connecting with our audience.
And you found the ROI being amazing. I mean, usually many of these celebrities charge a bomb.
They do actually, but we made it work for us. It's so far it's worked really well for us.
Okay. And walk me through some of your distribution strategies which you've experimented. wound down? I know you do a lot of online sales now. A lot of part comes from e-commerce platforms. But just walk me through the discovery process of building the distribution strategy.
So, we've always been online agnostic because developing offline took a lot of money back then. Not anymore for us because the brand is pretty much made, right? But back then we didn't have enough money. When a distributor comes to you, you have to give him stock on credit, and then he returns it, and the whole cash, kind of gets stuck. So we said, what is the best way to get consumer feedback very quickly? And what is the best way that we can reach our customer at the lowest cost, right? So we went online. We have had partnerships with Flipkart, with Amazon, and we built on those channels over a period of time. We still do about 80% of our business online, and we feel that the feedback mechanism is very, very quick. The consumer is shifting to buying online, and that's where we want to keep concentrating. Of course, post that, around in 2018-19, we realized that yes, offline is a very big part of our of our ecosystem. I think 80% or 90% of India still shops offline, right? So that's when we started putting some muscle behind it. We got about 15% of our sales revenue last year from offline. And this year we plan to grow it to about 20%. Of course, with COVID, it's not, we don't know where it'll go.
Sure.
But offline is very important for us now. But we do always launch our products online first, just to make sure that, we get the proper feedback. So if there are some drawbacks with the product, we can correct them before we go and hit offline.
It's interesting you mentioned this because many conversations we've had with businesses which have been formed in the last 5-8 years, I think they've been discovered online first.
Right.
And then they moved and online. And I think there lies the tale in India that actually, if you take 10, 15 years ago, building a brand like yours uh, in the traditional manner would have taken you years and years and perhaps a lot of investment and time.
Right.
Whereas now you can actually launch it online. So tell me, the launch on online, how has that worked with the platforms? What you mentioned about user-generated feedback and content, how has that been used in your business? What changes which have come? And usually when we look at these kind of platforms, there's a huge amount of expectation and there's a huge amount of disappointment at the same time.
Right.
So maybe give me some flavor of that, Sameer.
So just to tell you, right, the mechanism for us is very simple. We do a soft launch before we go for a big launch. Any product that we bring to market will come with a soft launch. So we'll do about 5-10,000 units. As soon as we launch, right, within a week, we get a feedback from the customer, whether the product is good, whether the product is not good, what are the flaws, right? So then we have a team that continuously does this research, right? Every week they'll come up with, what is not working on our product, and it goes into an improvement cycle. And it happens for not one product or a newly launched product. It happens for all our products, including old and new, right? So using this, feedback mechanism from the customer, incorporating it into your product and making sure that, your product keeps getting better and it is up to what customer expects. That is something that we've learned from online, right? Because the user feedback is so quick and so sharp, right? I mean, the customer is talking to you and telling you exactly what is wrong with your product or exactly what is right with your product. And if you kind of apply yourself and, use those conversations to build a better product, I think, you've kind of cracked half of the puzzle there. So we use a lot of this user generated feedback and build a better product each time. Like couple of our products where we've seen that people say that, hey, one side stops working. So what happens in India is people put the earphone inside the bag and yank it out, right? When you yank it out, it stops working. So we went and we used Kevlar infused wires in our earphones, so that if you yank it out also, it will not stop working. So these are the small feedbacks that we've taken and kind of improved on our product.
Got it. Well, that's pretty interesting. And clearly I think the spontaneity of the online platform helps you do that.
Right.
Now, as you look at your business, this is a very exciting market. There's obviously a lot of brand extensions, adjacencies. What all do you do now as part of boAt Lifestyle and some of the new things you're looking at?
So currently we are only in audio. We
Uh,
did launch our wearable about a month ago, and we were the fastest selling wearable on Amazon in the last 1 year. We did also launch our power banks on again on Amazon, and again we were sold out. We sold about 30,000 units in less than about half a day. So now we see that the brand has legs to go into horizontal directions. So wearables is something that we're currently looking at. Gaming is something that's coming up with for us. So we're going to be doing a lot of gaming hardware around because gaming is a large part of a youth's life right now, and mobile gaming per se is growing extraordinarily in India. So these are the adjacencies that we look at, and we'll kind of build on that, and that's planned out for the next 1 year. And there are other things that are in the pipeline, but we're not sure whether we'll do
sure.
those things. But as of now, gaming, wearables, and power banks are something that we'll get into over the next 1 year.
Any, you understood about your distribution. What about manufacturing? I believe you import almost everything from China.
Right. So essentially, yes, you're right. The ecosystem is fairly, developed in China, and in terms of pricing, nobody can beat China as of now. That's something that's been going on. But this latest, you know, issue between India and the geopolitical issues that are happening has prompted us to kind of move a large part of our supply chain to India. So we built out an entire supply chain team who can start manufacturing in India very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we would have a couple of products which will be designed in India and made in India, which would get launched post October. And if things go well, we will definitely try and move at least 50% of our supply chain back to India within the next 2 years.
Wow, that's something. Yeah, yeah. And how does now your relationship with the platforms work in terms of, I mean, you get your payments pretty much as the user buys it, and so you run a kind of a negative working capital, or how does that?
No, so for us, we don't sell directly on Amazon. We have third-party sellers who actually sell
Sure.
with us on Amazon platforms. We do offer them credit, but we essentially go on an early payment program with them, so it kind of helps us, cover for our cash flow requirements.
Yeah.
Our relationship with both the platforms, two of the largest in India, is very, very good. We work very, very closely with both of them, and we're a very large part of their audio business as well. So there's a
Yeah.
joint, business model that we develop each year as to what should come in, what should be phased out. So that kind of joint exercise is something that is done on an annual basis, and that's how we kind of go about building, newer categories, newer product portfolios.
Hmm. And what has been the impact on your investment and capital structure because of the way you've started your business? Because manufacturing is almost built to suit, yeah,
Right.
and you're selling online, so credit periods are pretty much non-existent. And I also noticed that you raised money only once,
Right, right,
and that to a very tiny amount.
right. So we are very hyper efficient. So company is being run by a Gujarati and a Bania. So it's in the blood, right? To kind of be very frugal. So we've been frugal for the largest part of the past 4 5 years that we've been in existence. We made sure that we don't waste money. Of course, wherever we have to spend on marketing, on product development, we do. Uh, we've kind of raised very small rounds of equity, but a large part of our money is already gone, is mainly into working capital. And we've got some support from our suppliers where we get some credit. We have nice banks like yours which give us some cash credit limits, which helps us kind of meet our working capital demands. And that's how we've been able to get to this point over the last 2 3 years. Our equity base is really small, but we are a profitable company. So every
Hmm.
penny that we make, we plow it back into the business.
Hmm.
So that's kind of helped us get to this level.
Interesting, because I see many startups in the consumer space, and many of them have burnt so much money, and uh, in a variety of ways. And you guys have built a consumer brand. You have built a fairly large base. I mean, and very, 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 very good turnover. this is quite remarkable and against the grain of a lot of startups. And that goes back to the DNA of you and Aman.
Right, sir. So actually, not having a lot of money is also a good thing, right? I mean, you get creative with, whatever limited funds you have.
Uh, uh,
And there's access to a lot of capital. You don't know, maybe you take some wrong decisions. So for us, we've been very very prudent in the way we spend our money. We've been profitable day one. We've never made a loss in this company. So that's how we've kind of gone about building it. So just to give you an example, up until 2018 end, we didn't even have an office. We were working out of a co-working space in
mhm.
Delhi. It is actually I don't know whether you've heard of Social. Social is a restaurant
Yeah,
by
yeah, yeah,
night and
yeah,
a co-working space by day,
yeah.
because that was cheaper for us to do. So we worked out of a co-working space for for about 3 years. We didn't even have a CFO till the time we reached about 500 crores of top line. So
Uh,
we've been very prudent because we could manage those things back then. But now
no,
we are on our journey to build up an organization.
yeah.
We've done tremendous amount of hiring in the last 6-8 months. In fact, through the COVID, because we got some time to sit back and think on the larger vision, me and Aman went about setting up an R&D team in India. We have a fairly large R&D team now. We have a fairly large supply chain team in India. Our top management is coming along really well. Our recent hires have been who's who of the industry. So we've kind of now it's about for us to go to we call it the both 3.0. So the 1.0 was when you're launching your brand, and 2.0 is till the time we got to about 1,000 crores of revenue. The
Mm.
3.0 is about building a large company which can, kind of, it has a life of its own. It can work with or without me and Aman, and that's the dream for us to kind of build that out. Not sure how successful will be, but that's the effort. Over the next 1 or 2 years, it's going to be a concentrated effort to kind of make the company get a life of its own.
You mentioned about being able to hire really good talent, and that's been a, something which has happened more recently because you've become more visible, and people are willing to take a chance to leaving fairly established careers. I mean, is that happening now?
Absolutely, sir. So there are 2 or 3 levers that we've kind of used, right? One is now people know about the brand, so they are not so scared, right? Second thing is, we are profitable, so there's no runway problem, right? Okay, after 10 months, if I don't have money, company might shut down. So that is the second part, and the third part is, I think we also started believing that we can actually build a large organization now. So that's something internal and something external. Of course, COVID kind of helped because a lot of good talent was available, and we said that it's the best time to get people on board for it'll give them a confidence that a company who's hiring during COVID times is a sustainable company. So
Sure. Sure.
that's I think these 3 or 4 things have kind of worked for us.
You mentioned that you didn't know Aman till the time you were set up by this Purohit.
Yeah.
And interestingly, he's based in Delhi, you're based in Mumbai, and it speaks that you guys have pulled off something very interesting. How is this two states marriage being managed?
Yeah, we get asked this question so often. It
Uh,
works perfectly well. So I think between 2016 and 2019, I think me and Aman would have spent more hotel nights than me and my wife have. So we've traveled so much together. So that kind of helps get that relationship stronger, making it stronger.
uh,
Uh, because we both of us kind of handle different aspects of the business, so it's fairly easy for us to not be in the same state or same city or same office. And third is, I think it's best that both of us are slightly away so that रोज की मियाँ बीवी वाली किचकिच नहीं होती. So we talk once a day. We have our own conversations. We,
uh,
on the strategic side, how to go about it. The good thing is either of us don't second guess each other, which is a
uh,
very, very good quality. I think that both of us, it's developed over a period of time. And unless it's a very large decision, nobody's second guessing anybody, because everybody believes that, whatever's being done is in the good faith and in the best interest of the company.
And if you look the next 3-5 years, the segment and the sector you're in obviously has tremendous tailwinds, and in some manner, COVID has made that even more. I mean, all of us are buying better equipment, home equipment, and so that's a very strong tailwind. Um, and your thoughts that, let's say a year from now, that settles down, then you basically have your other businesses coming in, which will start building growth in terms of gaming, in terms of wearables and all. Is that how you're seeing things?
So currently, yes, I agree that there are a lot of tailwinds, especially with work from home and cinema at home and IPL at home, right? I mean, you want sound bars, you want earphones, you want headphones. But if you look at the larger shift, right, a lot of the customers who are buying offline are shifting online.
Hmm.
And that shift actually helps us because, when they start buying online and we being an online agnostic brand, it helps us quite a bit to kind of, scale further. So this tailwind, of course, is helping us, but we don't see it kind of dying down because the kind of user journey that's happening from offline to online will definitely help us to scale further. In terms of the next growth waves, yes, wearables is one big growth wave that we look at. Gaming is another growth wave that we look at. Along with that, yes, strengthening our product portfolio also going forward will also, we're barely in like three categories, to be very honest. Right now we are into home audio, which is this is our first year for home audio actually. We've fairly accomplished in personal audio, which is your wireless speakers and wireless earphones and stuff like that. But there are other, product categories that we need to get into. Voice is one such category where, Alexa powered device or Google powered device, or home audio with Dolby in it, Wi-Fi speakers. These are going to be coming out, in the next 1 odd year within the audio space as well, and that will also lead our next wave of growth.
And when you think through some of the trends in the next 3-4 years, uh, what's the thought about eventually taking the company public, or what are the things, because you build a great brand and your top line looks exciting, and this is the moment for young companies to list. Actually, I mean, you've seen a few of them list in the last few days and weeks.
True, true. So I think all of this will come out of building up the organization, having
Yeah.
governance, internal controls, systems and processes. So being a startup, I'm sure right, workflows not streamlined. People are hustling all the time to get things done. So now we've gotten the right talent on board who would come in and set up all these systems, right? So we'll go about building out the entire company in a way that, like I said, right, it gets a life of its own. And if a IPO comes along maybe in the next 3 or 4 years, we would be happy to look at it. But the idea is to build a company that is IPOable. So we're putting the building blocks in place for that right now.
Any business person who's inspired you for years? I mean, whom you read about, look up to?
Elon Musk is somebody that I love and appreciate. I read all his books. I think he's one of I think a guy who can change the face of a space industry. I think he's got to be a brilliant guy, right? So yeah, read about him. I mean, understand that I mean, of course, he's got a very different philosophy to work. He says that you can't change the world at 40-hour weeks, But I think I think each one to his own. But yeah, he's a true inspiration.
We don't see Elon Musk's in India. I mean, we see good entrepreneurs like you, but people who are transformational. And obviously, I mean, you see it's happened to China, it's happened to the US,
Right.
but markets like India, countries like India haven't seen those transformational industries being born by sheer force of nature that is Elon Musk. I mean, what's the reason? I mean, what do you think about it? Or maybe am I oversimplifying it?
I mean, even I don't have the answer to it, but I think what we lack in India is, the ability to look 10 years down the line and build, things from today for 10 years later. I
Mhm.
think that whole investment and, creating a great product and believing in that is something that was missing until at least a few years ago.
Mhm.
And now you look at, what is happening within the space, right? If you look at, the companies in Fireside portfolio, like Mama Earth, you look at what they've done, right? They've done a fantastic brand which is talking to all the audiences, earth neutral products, so now I think people have started believing that we can do that in India, because earlier either you needed a lot of money which nobody had, the private equity space was non-existent, so you didn't have, how much capital can you put in of your own unless you're coming from an industrialist family, right? So I think now the whole VC and the PE space is helping people realize their dreams. And there are people who are going out there and building great brands, right? Mama Earth, Vadam, all of these are great brands that have been built. And these are built by Indians, right? People who found a need gap in the market and came out with the right set of products. So I think it's about putting in the investment, the effort, and the time to kind of build out something which is long term.
And you're right. I think we needed role models.
Right.
We needed our own role models because every place is unique. And we've also had a shorter, I would say, stint of few years rather than 15, 20 years. Though I do agree that some very interesting companies are being born. And one of the things we see is that actually the talent which is building these next generation brands is a little bit more experienced than very young people. I mean, we've had the first round of very young people, and now, people who've had different stints, 10, 15 years here and there, who bring different levels of, insights and discipline. I do think that we'll see many, many Mama Earths and many both, in the new years to come. Good, good. Sameer, first of all, thank you so much for this conversation. Like I said, for me, it's about learning for what you guys have gone through and some of the insights you've provided, frugality, how do you do a shared, ownership, management, but in two different geographies, and how do you make that work? The product market fit, personalizing a product, a segment which needed that, and how you're responding to a changing India and a changing geopolitical structure as well. I think it's something which I think young companies like yours can show the way to many traditional companies who are kind of hardwired in their process.
Sure.
I think the trick is when you become 3,000 crores annual sales, how much time do you spend on a day to day? How much time do you spend on capital allocation, mentoring your teams, and thinking about the future, and then connecting the dots back to the grindstone? I think those will be very interesting to track, at least for me. But really appreciate your time. And it's great that you've built something remarkable like this along with Aman in India, and more power to you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you so much for taking your time out and speaking to me. It's been a pleasure, and have had wonderful support from you guys and your team in terms of the whole journey, right? So last 2 years, you guys have been very, very critical to our success. The support has been tremendous.
Thanks for your time. Take care of your health and continue forging ahead because you guys are the new India. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you so much. Thanks, Rajiv.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye.